Look, I've come to Southend. Behind me there, that's Tim Martin. He's the founder and chairman of Wetherspoons. I spent many a night growing up in the local Wetherspoons. Tim Martin is a big, big fan of Brexit, to say the least. In fact, he wants a no-deal Brexit. He wants us out, full stop. Walk on away. Now, he's doing a little tour of Wetherspoons all over the country to have a little chat about Brexit with his customers. So I'm going to talk to him about Brexit, how well it's going. But I also want to ask him, isn't he part of the very elite which plunged this country into crisis?
I consider myself as more of a Mick Jagger, actually. I just behave better than he does. Or put it this way, I've never had the opportunities. Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Anyone who wants to... What's that? Hello, hello? Is it working? Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks.
Karaoke?
Yes. People said we want to leave, and it's very unfair now. If you wouldn't mind waiting till the end, I'd be very grateful. It's very difficult to be heard anyway above the noise. I think those are my main points.
Ooh, out! Team Wetherspoon! Private okay on.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
We're going to talk to Tim.
So where am I going to sit down?
Brexit. Okay. If this is very badly, and this is very well, how well is it going?
I mean, it's a bit like asking someone before the referendum, how's it all going?
Well, no, we've had this now, this whole process 2.5 years.
Yeah, but you on the 29th of March, I'll tell you. It's predicting the unpredictable, really.
So before we come on to no deal, why do you think people voted for Brexit?
Well, the main issue for me is you never knew where EU law started and British law ended.
Which EU law don't you like?
It's too dissective to boil it down to that. Okay,
one law.
Let me give you one example of the EU. Okay, there was a huge pressure for us to join the predecessor of the euro, which was the exchange rate mechanism.
That was a voluntary decision. We weren't compelled to join the ERM.
70% of the people thought it was inevitable that the UK would join.
But we didn't join the euro.
I don't like the Eurozone. I think it's very dangerous.
But we're not. I agree, but we're not in the Eurozone.
You shouldn't interrupt me so much if you want a decent reply.
Okay.
You know?
All I say is the reason I'm struggling in it is I think there are many valid criticisms to be made of the EU. But what you haven't come up with a single law you object to from the European Union. And you've brought up the Eurozone, which we're not members of. I mean, if the Eurozone goes badly wrong, it's irrelevant whether we're in the EU or not because we're not in the Eurozone. But you're not coming up with a valid criticism. And there are criticisms to be made.
How would I know whether it's an individual law? I'm a barrister. It's almost impossible to know whether an individual law is made by the EU or the UK.
I grew up in a part of Stockport which voted to leave the European Union. I travel a lot, Mansfield, Blackpool, places that heavily voted to leave the European Union. What struck me is a sense of dissatisfaction with the way the country is run drove many people to vote the way they did. But just on that...
I've heard people say that. I think it's slightly patronising view. The assumption is they didn't understand the vote.
I haven't said...
People didn't understand the vote. That's the implication
of
saying
people were fed up
they voted from another motive. The motive was being fed up. The issue was a different issue. It is, do you want to leave or do you want to stay? And people voted, I believe, on that.
The truth is, you are yourself part of the elite. You're a very wealthy man. And many of your workers are on poverty wages. And the taxpayer has to spend huge amounts of money in work benefits.
It's just a silly conversation.
Well, it's not a silly conversation.
On poverty wages.
They're being paid £8.05 an hour. I mean, you can't live on £8.05 an hour. Surely you could give them a living wage.
Have you checked that on £8.05 an hour?
How much are your bar staff paid?
It's the point is...
How much are they paid?
Owen, are you constantly interrupting me? I mean, what is this?
I'm asking for an answer.
It's a childish interview. You've been on the Stella. This is what's causing him to interrupt.
Do you think people should earn a living wage if they work?
I'm not going to start dissecting with you. What do you get paid?
I'm not employing people on poverty wages.
Oh, well, if you think I am, and I don't know why you came along here, it's an insulting thing to
Insulting.
say.
It is a poverty wage, of course.
Okay, well there you are. At that point, if you think it's a poverty wage,
It's below the living wage by definition.
it's not below the living wage.
Just lastly, will you speak to union members? They want you to recognise the union. You've had a chat with me, which is I'm very honoured to have a chat. Will you speak to the striking
You're not
union?
honoured to have a chat. You're just being very rude and aggressive.
I don't think
You think it's rude to say that you should be on that you're paying poverty wages?
Well, they are by definition poverty wages. They're
They're
below
by
the living wage.
definition, are they?
That's how it works. Okay. It's up to you. All right. Well, anyway, look, it was very interesting. I learned a lot from that.
Yeah. It's one of the silliest interviews. I've been doing this for many, many years. It's one of the most childish interviews I've ever had.
I don't think it's-
I'm glad.
I don't think it's
Turn it off now if you don't mind.
childish to ask if work is.
Well, I just think the whole thing has been extremely childish. But anyway, there you go.
So with my good mate Matt Lavkelson, who is the former press spokesperson for Jeremy Corbyn, Southend born and bred.
This is my local Wetherspoons. I thought I'd come down today to see Tim Martin and what he had to say. Wasn't really impressed. He's got a little, very tight kind of cabal of real loyalists. I'd say the Martin loyalists, the Martinistas. And, you know, they were cheering every word he said. I think they might have been bussed in.
Why did they mostly vote for Leave? You are a minority around here.
People do want to take back control. They see their communities changing, they see their economy changing, and the kind of Brexit that Tim Martin's advocating just simply won't deliver that.
Brexit, what do you reckon should happen?
The MPs is actually do what they're paid to do, which is get us out, which is what the people voted for.
It's an absolute shambles now. I mean, put it bluntly, we're up a creek without a paddle.
Well, I'm only just turned 18, so I'm fresh into the political atmosphere. And I think the old generation have voted for what they believe in a strong British Empire in a way of what they had, and they have to realise that's not happening.
It's not happening, is it? Is Tim Martin the right messenger?
I don't really know, but I mean, it's not only him, it's every company.
His bar staff, some of them are working 60 hours a week and they're breaking even, they're coming out with absolutely
About
nothing.
£8 an hour.
Exactly. And who's the people who are making money out of it?
I think we've got to ask ourselves a question. Do we listen to the likes of Tim Martin, a multi-millionaire who can barely string together a coherent position on Brexit as he tours his pubs across the country talking about Brexit? I think we should be listening, even if we don't always agree, to people on the street, people in pubs like this, about why they're disillusioned, why they're angry, because unless we do that, there's no future for this country.